Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to talk about how we can produce huge cash flowing assets by using something called velocity banking. And it'll get to the point where people might be jealous of you and think, "Man, whatever you're doing, I don't think it's real. Your cash flowing assets, I don't think it's real." Because we're going to do something that's not traditional when it comes to having real estate investments. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but most real estate doesn't cash flow. I remember when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, or I did it, was it, did I read? I don't know if I actually read it, but I was probably listening to like Rich Dad Poor Dad radio. And it made like, I remember it gave me the impression that, like, oh, you could just borrow all the money you want and have all this extreme cash flow when you buy real estate. And one of the things that I later found out is that most real estate doesn't really cash flow, right? Because if you go to the biggest real estate investing website on the internet, it's called Bigger Pockets. They have an article about what is, quote, good cash flow. And notice that good is in quotes. It's like not even real, right? Because what do they consider good cash flow? $100 to $200 a month per unit, right? $100 to $200 a month. And so think about this. Let's say you have a $200,000 loan on an investment property like this. What's the likelihood that you're gonna, it could be even at $100,000 discount. The market value is $300,000. You could still get a $100,000 discount, only get $2,000 a month in rent, and not cash flow because of the debt and other expenses like taxes, insurance, and all that. And so what we have to do is go into this thing called landlording in a position of strength, because if you don't, you're going to be what I call a tired landlord, right? So you ever do a Google search on tired landlord? There is so much literature about reaching out to landlords. In fact, one of the real estate instructors from Renatus, his name is Albin. I'm sorry, Chris Albin. He teaches creative acquisitions, subject to all that good stuff you hear on the internet. He has over 300 properties on a teacher salary. And one of the things that he said is that almost all of my good deals come from other landlords. That's what he says. So think about it. If you go into real estate investing, doing it the quote traditional way, what's the likelihood you're going to be a tired landlord? Especially if you get a $200,000 loan, you have no cash flow, you got to manage the tenant and do all the work. Let's do the opposite of that. Let's switch it up with velocity banking. Okay, so let's go here. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is that we have to do landlording from a position of strength, right? Because if the tenant doesn't pay us rent, are we going to freak out, or are we going to handle the situation like a real leader? And too many people just freak out, right? Because they're thinking, oh man, I'm planning for the best case scenario and the tenant is always going to pay rent. And if the tenant is always going to pay rent, hey, eviction court wouldn't even exist. But tenants don't always pay rent. So one of the things that in my opinion, I would do for myself is I wouldn't invest in a rental property until most of my personal debt is paid off, right? So as you can see here, we might let's say that at this stage of life we got $6,000 income, $4,000 expenses, and we decide, hey, we're just going to get a rental property. Okay, let's go ahead and put in the monthly payment for that rental property. And if for whatever reason, and we haven't included tenant's income, the tenant doesn't pay, we're going to be in the negative, right? We're going to be in the negative. And that's not a position we want to be in. This is why so many landlords freak out, because they're over leveraged and their current situation cannot handle a non-paying tenant. We always want to go in to landlording in a position of strength. In fact, I don't think landlording is a beginner strategy for real estate investing. You want to have that massive income, whether it's wholesaling, real estate investing, or just even having a W-2 job before you get into a rental property, right? And so now let's do this. Let's not get the rental property yet. Let's pay off our debts using something called velocity banking, and then use the full power of our cash flow once it's been increased to pay off our rental property and get a rental property, right? So now we'll go over what is velocity banking. All it is a debt payoff strategy using a line of credit as your main tool, as your main operating account. And a line of credit, all it is a financial tool where you can borrow money, pay back, and use it over and over again, right? You might have heard of home equity lines of credit, personal lines of credit, or even credit cards, right? That those are lines of credit, but the advantage that a personal or home equity line of credit has is that you can use it to pay anything, anything. That's why I love it, right? You borrow money, click a button on the bank's website, pay the home equity line of credit bills as long as there's some limit available. Although you don't really want to do that, right? So, okay, two steps to this. Number one is a budget. So we have the budget. We haven't gotten the investment property yet. Again, we want to do it from a position of strength. So let's pay our own personal debts first, and then once we're ready, let's get that investment property. And I've shown this picture in other videos where it's like, oh, I got a $330,000 property for 210, right? We always want to get a discount because we want that immediate equity, and then not only that, it's easier to pay off debt when you got a discounted property, right? Even if you don't produce that much cash flow, especially in the beginning. Okay, so now we need a line of credit as a main operating account. So let's assume we have like a $60,000 home equity line of credit. So basically, you're offering your home equity as collateral. If you don't know what home equity is, go talk to a bank or credit union. You can do many Google searches. So many banks and credit unions offer it. In fact, there are over 4,000 credit unions in this country. When people ask a question like, where should I go? I'm like, do a Google search, right? Like tons of people in this business who are offering home equity lines of credit, because one of the hopes is that if you get a home equity line of credit, you're not gonna do it the velocity banking way. You're gonna probably do it the average American way. And if you look on Reddit, tons of people are struggling with home equity lines of credit because they're not, they're doing something that we are talking about not doing, which is having savings, right? Because what is velocity banking? All it is no savings with the help of a line of credit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is assume two things: same income but no savings, right? Absolutely no savings. Okay, and then what we're going to do is copy all of our expenses, right? And this is the first requirement, which is doing the budgeting. We got to complete the budget, and then we're going to have something called cash flow, which in the beginning looks like savings. Like what's the difference? There's no difference. I mean, you're just kind of moving things and shuffling things around, right? What we're trying to do is, with the help of no savings, increase this number called cash flow, right? No savings. And so what we're going to do is make this our main operating account. That's the biggest difference between here and here, is that for the Velocity Banker, the line of credit is the main operating account, whereas for the average American, the checking account, the savings account, is that main operating account, because you pay your bills and then everything's left in the savings. Whereas we are going to have no savings and going to use our line of credit as our main operating account. So let's go ahead and maximize this number in the beginning. We'll assume that we have a line of credit available to us for use, and this is $55,000, right? $55,000. Okay, and whoopsie, I doubled this by accident. So let me go ahead and delete this. Okay, so by simply moving this line of credit debt to the line of credit, these credit cards, what happens to the payments here? 0, 0, 0, 0. And so now we went from 1,300 to $3,156 of cash flow. Oh my goodness, mind blown, right? So now let's go ahead and pay off our credit cards. And what we got to do is just do a few calculations. So here's the actual. Ooh, that looks bad. Let me format this so it looks a little bit neater. And actually, let's do this. Okay, so this is I2 plus 1. Okay, so now what we got to do is calculate the next month's balance, which is the previous month's balance, plus the previous month's interest, which we haven't calculated yet, H2, minus our current cash flow, which is $3,156.79, right? And let's make this a little bit bigger, okay? So now, after every month, there's an interest that gets calculated. It's based on the average daily balance. So you just get the average formula here to kind of calculate that or estimate it, multiplied by the interest rate, which is 10%, and then divided by 12. And the interest rate is 10% right here. You could just say 0.1 divided by 12. Okay, so now what is going on here? I gotta format the cells. Let's go ahead and format the cells. We're going to use currency, and let's use a dollar sign. Where's the United States dollar sign? We're not using no euro. All right, there we go. Why did they put U.S. English all the way down to Zimbabwe? Interesting. Okay, where is US dollars? I'm just going to copy and paste this so I can format this correctly. I don't even know what's going on. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get the average daily balance, right? So we're going to do this right here, average of these two numbers, multiply by the interest rate, 0.1, and then divide by 12, right? So the interest is $445. And actually, let's see, is it only format cells, two decimal places? Yeah, that's how I want it. All right. All right. So, okay, well, let's just do this. Now we just copy and paste these formulas. And then as you can see right here, it takes about 19 months to pay everything off. 19 months, right? And so now I'm just going to go ahead and do this, right? Mark this down, and then we'll say for a milestone, 19 months to pay off $55,000 of debt. Okay. So now after 19 months, which is about, I think, a year and a half almost, now I think we're ready to get into real estate investing, because let's go ahead and do this right here. So 1467.53. Because if we have a tenant that doesn't pay because we haven't included tenant's $2,000 a month income yet, we're still going to be in the positive, right? Whereas when we got into real estate investing first without paying off our credit cards, we were in the negative, and that's a no bueno. Okay. Now let's assume that we got a $300,000 property for $200,000. Now, if you know where to look, they're there, because you have to look for distressed real estate, because people will trade equity. They will give you a discount for a peace of mind if you know where to find them. Okay. But even at a $200,000 loan, if you get a $100,000 discount and get a $200,000 loan, I mean, just take a look at this number. If $2,000 a month is the rent, and the mortgage is 1467, and you have taxes, insurance, you're probably zero cash flowing, right? But let's assume that we have the best case scenario of that $200 of cash flow a month, right? And we're going to do it the traditional way. So let's go ahead and calculate this, and let me do this so that I can go ahead and get the formatting correct. All right. So now let's assume that we're just doing this the traditional way of $200 a month times 12 times 30, right? We're making 72 grand over 30 years. Now, how much does the bank make? And let's assume it's a $200,000 loan at 8%. Well, if that's the case, the bank is making in total 328,000. 328,000. Oh my goodness. So let's go ahead and write this down. 328,000 over 30 years if we decide to hold it for 30 years. I mean, isn't that really frustrating that we're doing all the work, we're managing the tenant, and we're getting this itty bitty $200 cash flow, and then we're asking ourselves, why are we a tired landlord? Why are we sick of this? Right? Because you know, the bank is getting all the benefit from this. You know what the bank is like? It's like when you do a school project and you did all the hard work and somehow you got a worse grade than your partners or school group members who did absolutely nothing. That's what this is. And you know what? It's a real life metaphor of real estate investing for most people, right? So what we want to do is we want to reverse the situation. Now, let's do this, right? So let's, I always talk about amortized loans, that, hey, this is an 8% amortized loan. Now, when it comes to amortized loan, like, here's the thing. If there's a huge difference in rate between your line of credit and your loan, kind of like this 3% mortgage, best thing to do is just move pieces of the principal into little chunks in the line of credit and pay off with your cash flow, right? Rather than the whole entire thing. Because if you do the whole entire thing, you will pay it off quicker, but you actually pay it off quicker when you do the chunking method. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I got other videos on this. But what I'm saying is that let's focus on paying off that mortgage so that we don't have to pay that itty bitty cash flow. And one easy way to do this, again, easy, is just move a piece of that mortgage, a small amount, could be somewhere around maybe like 7,000, 8,000, size of your paycheck, and move it into that mortgage, or I'm sorry, mortgage to the line of credit and pay it off, right? So how long does it take to go from 200,000 to maybe even 190, right? So let's just go here, and then let's go ahead and add the tenant's income. So let's say the tenant gives us $2,000. So we'll add that, and then we multiply by 70% because we don't get the whole 2,000. Again, we had to talk about taxes, insurance, vacates, maintenance, all that. So let's just give it 70% as an easy way to estimate that. Hey, we got some expenses, and so now we have 7,400, right? So let's move that $10,000 right here, 10 let's see, 9 plus 10, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now, how long does it take for us to pay off that 10,000? And right now, our cash flow is slightly decreased, slightly, 3089.26. So 3089.26. Okay. How long does it take us to pay off that 10,000? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 months, right? But if you take a look here at this amortization schedule, it's going to take us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? So again, um, this is why most people are frustrated with real estate, because their assets don't produce cash flow. And all of their money is tenants' money is not going to them; it's going to the bank. So what we want to do is just kind of do this and use our entire cash flow to pay off a real estate loan. And one of the things that we kind of have to understand is that if we pay off this loan, right, we're going to have much more than $200 of cash flow. So luckily, we have this velocity banking calculator to help us determine um, how much or how long it takes for us to pay off this loan with our entire cash flow. So this is 30 years, and what's our payment amount? 1467.53. So 1467.53. Okay. And here's the thing too. Let me just do this. So let me fill in the basics first, and then I'll just go on a little explanation about what it is that we're actually doing. So let's put in our income. Again, this is our income that we have. Our active income could be fix and flipping, wholesale, W-2 job, right? Again, that's why I say get your active income first before you get that passive income, because it's very hard to be in a position of strength if you don't have that active income. Or you could just do it maybe another way, like a partnership marriage, right? Where one person is the employee, the other is the entrepreneur. I know there's a lot of discussion how that might be useful with taxes. Again, I'm not a tax expert at all, but I've heard that before. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put this right here. Our income, which is 7,400, which includes our tenant's income, and then what is our expenses? Is everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So it's going to be 2843.21. So 2843.21. Okay. So now, some people ask like, hey, is there an optimal amount that we can move to that line of credit? I would just say something similar to your paycheck. I mean, if the thing that I just want to emphasize is that we don't have to move this entire thing into a first lien HELOC. So that's something you might have heard on the internet. So let me just show you this. If we move $200,000 into a first lien HELOC, look at this, pays off in 4.6 years, and the interest is about 50,000. So you might say, wow, that's really good. We save $278,000 of interest. But let's say that we do this in about maybe, I don't know, $8,000 chunks, okay? 4.4 and 37, right? 4.4 and 37. Probably would be less if it's 7,000, but let's just check how much less. Yeah. So not that much difference, but $8,000. So you see how like it wasn't really that big of a benefit to move from the entire thing into a line of credit. You might have heard of that on the internet, but the thing is that when it comes to amortized loan, usually they have lower interest rates to the line of credit. Now, if we did this with a 3% loan, I definitely would not move this entire thing into a line of credit just because of that interest rate difference. But let's take a look here. So you'll notice that it pays off in 4.4 years, right? 4.4 years. Now let's just assume this. For 4.4 years, we're not going to take a dime from our rental house, right? Tenant pays us rent, and for 4.4 years, we just don't take anything. So that means, 30 minus 4.4, how much is that? So for 25.6 years, that's when we're going to start taking the cash flow after all our debt is paid off. So how do we kind of estimate the amount of cash flow that we get as a landlord? Well, all it is 25.6 multiply by $2,000, okay, times 12 months, and then we just kind of take 70% of that $2,000, and then it should give us an approximate amount of cash flow that we get for not 30 years, because again, we're focusing on paying off that debt for the first couple of years, 4 years, right? We get $430,000 of cash flow in the life of the rental property if we hold it for 30 years, right? 430. Now, as a bank, how much would we get for lending on that real estate? And if you take a look here, 37 grand. Okay, 37 grand. So you notice that the essentially the tides have been turned. So when we did real estate the traditional way, oh my goodness, these assets, I'm sorry, these assets weren't cash flowing, right? It's $200 a month. It's so itty bitty, right? But now we've reversed the situation where, hey, if I got to borrow $200,000, I don't mind paying the bank a little bit, but I'm certainly not going to pay you this $328,000. I'm not going to be a tired landlord, right? I'm gonna reap the benefits of the real estate rather than the bank. Because here in this situation, your tenant is just the one paying the bank, and you're just essentially unofficial middle management, right? Whereas here, you're the entrepreneur, you're the landlord, you're the real estate owner, and the bank is just someone helping you out to get into the property. You see what I'm saying? So that's how we produce these extreme cash flowing assets. And you know what? Guess what? We don't have to pay off our personal mortgage yet. It's 3%. All right, cool. Let's get the next asset, right? So this is going to be zero. And then we just rinse and repeat again with another investment mortgage. We just copy and paste again. And then guess what? Our tenant is going to give us $2,000 of more income a month if we get another rental property exactly like this. Okay, so let's get the same exact loan, $100,000 discount. And we're just going to do this equals plus $2,000 point seven. $2,000 point seven. Okay, now the next property, so we'll have one paid off rental property, and then 2.9 years we'll have another rental property that's paid off. Okay, and we're going to be in tons of cash flow. And think about this: once that's paid off under 3 years, then in about a span of about 10 years, because look at this one, this one's paid off in 2.2 years. In about a span of 10 years, we'll have three fully paid off houses, and that's essentially our fully cash flow loaded retirement fund where assets are so big that everybody's going to be jealous of us and thinking this can't even be real. How do you have three paid off houses in under 10 years? I can't even pay off my 30-year mortgage in under 50 years because I thought it was such a good idea to refinance or sell my home every 5 to 7 years. Oh my goodness, like this has to be a joke. Like this isn't real. This isn't real. That's what people are gonna think. But I'm gonna tell you my personal story. Paid off my 30-year mortgage under 3 years. My personal home. And the reason that I actually paid off this one first is because it had a lower balance initially, right? That one, that's reason number one. But also number two, sometimes the best financial decision isn't the best credit decision. And so it's much easier to get a home equity line of credit when it's in your personal home. So I just want a huge home equity line of credit with a fully paid off house. Okay. That's the reason why I got it. But I should be able to pay off this one off in about 2.5 years. It's gone. It's gone. And then I'll just get the next house paid off in 2.2 years or 2 years. I don't know. But I could be a lot pickier because I got a huge line of credit, and I'm going to cherry pick deals where I get maybe instead of $100,000 discount, what if I get a $200,000 discount or even a free home? I've even heard about that. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, that's it for today. Again, producing extreme cash flow with your huge assets and velocity banking. That's what we do here almost all day, every day in this channel. So this is Crane Atlanta Mentorship. Just another velocity banking review. Have a great day, and we'll speak next time.